Alright, knockout blackjack, easiest card counting system ever devised. Alright, round 4, knockout system. Everything should be simple as possible, but not so more so. Today's modern point counting system are commonly classification according to three main categories: the level, the type, and whether or not the side count is required. We touched on that end of the chapter 3. Let's take another look at each level. Classification level refers to the integer values assigned to the card themselves. Each card is assigned an integer value is either -1, 0, or +1. This is said to be a level one count. Similarly, a system employing values between 2 and +2 and -2 level or -2 level counts and so forth. As rules are it's easier to use a level 1 system than a higher level system. This is partially because it's always easier to add or subtract 1 to add 2, and then to add 2 and subtract 3. In addition, as the expert card counter looks for the card patterns that cancel to 0. In addition, expert card counters look for cards that cancel to 0, which are more common in level 1 count. Type. Refer to whether the card counting system is balanced, unbalanced, both balanced, unbalanced system. Keep track of the running count. Introduce chapter 3, which is updated with the cumulative total of all the cards we've already seen. Historically, balanced counts have been more popular, well studied because they provide accurate playing strategies, but balanced counts require additional effort to employ, particularly during the true count conversion. Each with perfect mental arithmetic, even with perfect mental arithmetic, true count conversion is the source of error, because players must estimate the number of decks remaining to be played. This typically approximated the nearest one-half deck often leads to the true count conversion that may be off about 10%, but the use of unbalanced counts eliminates the need for the true count conversion. Side counts. Several balanced counts use the additional side count to enhance the power. They're often called multiple parameter systems, particularly because of the uniqueness of the ace. Many systems assign a neutral value to the point count. A neutral value in the point count. Then the count is separate, an ace side count. As you can imagine, keeping separate counts of aces on any other card, for the matter, greatly complicated the picture. Instead of keeping one count in your head, you now have to keep 2 of them. Needless to say, keeping side counts is mentally taxing. Quite often, chips, feet, cigarettes, drinks, anything else that are employed to facilitate the task. Thankfully, we'd avoid the worst of the headaches using the KO system single parameter count. Most important, the KO is unbalanced and completely eliminates the necessity to convert true count. As you'll see later, the KO also eliminates greater simplifies most other tasks associated with successful card counting. Let's go to business at hand. Learn the KO card counting values. First step in the card counting system: assign the value of the respective cards. The unbalanced knockout and card system employs the following card count values: 2 plus 1, 3 plus 1, 4 plus 1, 5 plus 1, 6 plus 1, 7 plus 1, 8, 0, 9, 0, 8 and 9, 0, Jack, Queen, King, negative ace, or ace. -1. The Allstate reader will immediately notify that there are some more positive than designated negative zeros. That's because some of the card tags does not equal 0, and that's why the knockout system is referred to unbalanced. Since the count values are restricted to +1, 0, and -1, each card has only one value associated with the knockout system. This is a true level 1 system. A level 1 system allows the fastest counting blackjack table of the full allows for fast counting on the blackjack table full of cards. A combination of the cards with the canceled 0 easy to spot eliminate from the consideration. Suits of the cards not considered so merge glance of the card's vision to determine the card counting value. The suits of the card are not considered so, but the mere glance of card is sufficient to determine the card counting value. To become a proficient card counter, you need to memorize the knockout values on each card in game conditions. You must be able to recall the knockout value instantly. Learning to keep knockout running count. To maintain a running count, we continually update it according to the cards we see played. Based on the previous table, we add 1 for each low card, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, or 7. Subtract 1 from each subtract 1 for each high card, 10, Jack, Queen, King, or Ace. We see. The running count is an important count we need to remember even during in between hands, keeping update with the next shuffle. The running count begins with the initial running count. For this reason, the running count begins the initial running count. For this reason, becoming the clear moment of the shuffle will start with the standard initial running count with the conformance of the following equation: 4 minus 4, or 4 times the number of decks minus 4, or 4 minus times 4 times the number of decks. We adopt the standards here, the reference point with the discussion. Later, we will discuss ways to customize the knockout system, for example, to avoid using negative numbers. Applying our equation, we stand with the initial running count of 0 for the single deck game. The initial running count is 4 minus 4 times 1 deck. For a double deck, it's 4 minus 4 minus 2, which is the initial running count of negative 4. For a 6-deck shoe, it equals standard initial running count is negative 20. The lowest standard initial running count will begin with negative 18 for an 8-deck shoe game. By starting the initial running count at 4 minus 4 times the 5 number of decks, we will always end the count of positive plus 4 after all the cards in the pack have been counted because of the unbalanced point. Dealing with negative numbers. Nothing to be alarmed about. Just imagine the number 0 with the middle positive numbers increase with the right, with the negative numbers increase with the volume magnitude to the left. The refresh the memory of those who may have the recently exposed the negatives and positive numbers, maybe the move of the right over the number line. On the other hand, adding a negative number equivalent to subtracting positive number means that we move it to the left. For example, if we have the total negative 4, we wanted to add 1, we move to the right and arrive at a new total negative 3, 4, negative 4 plus 1. Equals 3, or if we add 1 or 2, subtract, then sum of the negative 1. In other words, with negative 1, if we're at 1 and subtract 2, then the sum of the negative 1, which is the same as 1 plus negative 2. When you visualize the number system left-right fashion, it becomes fairly easy to do necessary addition and subtraction. Values. Each deck has a net count of positive 4. Instead of the net count of the entire pack exactly count over the 4 times the number of the decks. Initially subtract the leaves with a positive 4. Positive 4 is the sum. Let's look at 2-deck games as an example. The initial running count from the double deck of 4 is negative 4. We count through the deck running count, generally arrive at the initial running count of negative 4, throw the final count, which would be net positive 4 after all the cards are counted. In practice, the running count will be jumped around on its journey, sometimes dipping down below negative 4 and at other times in crest above negative 4, but at the end is equal to net positive 4 if counted correctly. Figure 4 shows a representative running count and distribution meeting look like a 2-deck game. Will soon these statistical variations will take advantage of the while playing. The average running count behaves quite differently. In the case of assumptions, we play with a great many of the hands, rendering a statistical variation negligible. On the average, we expect the running count to rise linearly with the number of decks, total cards already played, such that the rate increases positive 4 per deck. 4 steps to keeping the knockout running count. To achieve proficiency maintaining running count, recommended with the following step. Memory of the knockout card counting value associated with each card. Your recognition value of the card tag should be natural at telling time. It should be ingrained second nature. A former professional card counter colleague of Arthur Lawrence Revere some 20 years ago described it as this. To this day, I can't get away from card counting values. When I turn on my computer, I say, this is Windows 95. I see a 9 and 5 and still automatically think positive 2. This system even knock out in values in the positive 5. Values of 5, each of positive 2 and 9 is 0. Similarly, we're able to recall card counting values without pausing. It's important for the step of the instantaneous should be able to look at a card and instantly recall the value of positive 0 or negative 1 without hesitation. Shows 2 deck average distribution, typical distribution, knockout, running count. And then it goes up to and decks it out. Alright, Blackjack fallacy. Pictures follow the pictures. Players who have seen the faces of the card come out will often refuse to hit their own stiff hands. Believing the picture allows the follow the picture. Clearly, the face card can always follow another face card what if it was the last one? In fact, it turns out that given the picture of card has just appeared and the chance of the next one also being a picture is actually decreased. This can be likely with a gumball machine where the known number of yellow gumballs represent the picture card, with the green gumballs represent other cards have been mixed together. Let's say you put the gumball in its yellow. The chance of the next one with the yellow has been clearly decreased since we've already taken one of the yellows out. Similarly, also being unequal given the last card of the picture is less likely that the next card will be another picture card. Begin with the deck shuffle of cards. As you turn each of the card over, recall the knockout value. Note that you do not want to recite it out loud, as this could lead to troublesome habit of moving the count. For example, the sequence cards 3, 5, king, 2, 8, queen. You would silently think positive 2, positive 1, positive negative, positive 1, 0, 1. Count the entire deck one card at a time, keeping a running count. 2. Count the entire deck one card at a time, keeping a running count. For a single deck, running count starts at 0. As each card is played, you can recall the value added to the running count. Again, this must be done completely silently and without no lip movement. If you make no mistakes your running count will be positive 4 end of the deck. For example, above the same sequence of the card, you will be counting with the same fashion. Alright, single card knockout value running count. Practice with pairs of cards. When you become comfortable with keeping the count, with the practice with the turning of the cards over to 2 at a time and determine the next count of each of the pair of cards. For example, the hand of the jack of the ace of blackjack with the net count equal to -1 plus -1. 2 tens are also the knockout count value with a -2. The stiff total of 16 made up of queen. A stiff total of 16 made up of queen and 6 has net count equal to -1 plus 0. The practice until the counting pairs is second nature, and you need not do the addition step of the recognized pairs. Cancel 0, so 10, 2, queen, 4, 5, ace, 5, etc. Canceling technique will save a great deal of effort, greatly increase the speed. 4. Count the entire deck in pairs while keeping the running count. 2. Turning 2 cards over at a time, you will need to recall not to calculate the net count value and add it into the running count. For our card sequence above, we count in the following fashion. Pair of cards, net count, KO value, running count. How fast do you need to be? Good thumb of the rule, no matter what the card counting system you use, able to count down an entire deck of cards in 25 to 30 seconds. Many beginners find the prospect counting the entire deck in 30 seconds a bit daunting. Don't worry, once you master the technique with the netting, with the canceling of the 2 cards at a time, you literally fly through the deck, and in a short amount of the time counting cards, you will become easily reading one. You read words, you do not recite the sound of each letter, you do not try to sound without the word. When you simply view the word in your brain, immediately recognizes it. The same will happen with card counting after some practice. Once you count the deck of cards, transition is multiple decks and isn't difficult. The only change is the net value of the initial running count, which is necessary to ensure that you will always end up with a final running count of positive 4. We recommend practicing the number of decks we'll most often play against. For example, if you live on the East Coast, knowing that you're visiting Atlantic City or Roxwood, you will be practicing for 6 or 8 deck shoes and counting these destinations. Same true is true for the Midwestern Southern Riverboat casinos. On the other hand, the visitors in Nevada, you will have to choose several different games. You'll have a choice of several different games. You may want to become proficient in counting both single and multiple decks. To succeed in casino-like conditions, you must be able to count the entire pack quickly and correctly. Likely to slow, you won't be able to keep track of the cards in the casino. Environmental counting only a fraction of the cards in self-destruction, as you are not making also information. Speed of the tables. Actual play with each driver to be able to count with the table over the full cards. Few seconds with the amount way sound with the formidable that you find easier to done when it's said. Remember the first of all of the cards 0 are ignored. Remember, thus 8 and 9s can be disregarded. Next combination of the cards 12 with the value of 0 can be ignored. If you see somebody standing with a hand of the king and a 7, you similarly ignore that the new count is next count is 0. Similarly, a hand of the jack and 6 hits and busts with a jack of 6 that hits and busts with an 8 can be ignored. Eventually, you'll be able to cancel card with adjacent hands. For example, 3 adjacent hands: Jack, Queen, 4, 8, 8, and a 3, 9, Queen. You might view the following: ignore the 8 and 9s and add the 3 and the Queen. In the third hand, cancel left the 2 with the 2 and 1 card. The Jack with the Queen, 1 and 1 card. The Jack cancel the 4, leaving only the Queen on account is 4. Hence, for the new count with the group simply for the Queen, -1. With a little practice thinking for this, Thinking a little like this, you'll be able to glance a group of 5, 10 cards quickly, determine the net count of the group. Available to you far worse is counting only a fraction of the cards and consistently missing the same type of card. Let's take an example of when you're just a little slow, same to miss counting a player's last card when he busts. This is a reasonable scenario since dealers tend to snatch up the cards from busted hand quickly. Neglecting the card cuts the profit in 2 major ways. First, you want to cut about 1 every 15 cards missing or neglecting the card will cut into profits in 2 major ways. First, it won't cut about 1 in every 15 cards dealt, which has a negative consequence regarding the effect of the deck penetration factor profitability that will be discussed later in this text. Second, far more damaging, your count will become an inaccurate indicator signaling your increase of the bet. Prudent times wide hands tend to bust, and with high cards, always missing these cards, which are preferentially negative in the count values, will greatly inflate your running count, causing you to incorrectly conclude that you have an advantage when you don't. Not only will you suffer from the inaccurate betting, you will compound the error playing the hand wrong. Summary: the knockout system eliminates, greatly simplifies most common associated successful card counting. Knockout single line level single parameter unbalanced count means no true count conversion necessary for the count start with the initial running count with the decision made according with the running count only. You must learn to keep the running count perfectly. That you will require practice time, and in time when you'll learn to recognize the KNAL values instantly, update the count automatically. The information running count provides always allows you to make a proper bidding placing decision. The techniques for this using information described in the chapters that follow. Round 5, the knockout system rookie.